it was kind of really, it took me so long to kind of try to put this idea together, because this idea has been in my head for a long time to do a band like this. But it took me a while to get the right guys. You know, it's to be honest, these guys, none of the guys in the band are LA ska scene guys. And I don't mean that as a diss to the LA ska scene guys. Those guys are awesome too. And I love making music with all those guys, but these guys are all handpicked on this album for what they do. Yeah. And so I wanted that, our influences to be apparent. I wanted it to be authentic, but I also didn't want it to be, you know, for example, the Agrolites are influenced by early reggae, period. That's like, when I was touring with them, that's the only music we would listen to in that van was early reggae. That's it. Not even ska most of the time. Not even like Blue Eyed Soul most of the time. It was like almost always early reggae. That's all we listened to. And so for this, it's like, man, I'm influenced by a lot of modern bands, man. Like, I'm influenced by the Steady 45s. Those guys are young kids in my mind, and they are killing the scene in such a great way. They are doing this music justice. Yeah. And, you know, I've always been heavily influenced by Jump with Joey. I always thought there's never been a band that was as good of musicians and able to do what they do like them, you know, in our scene. Well, and so I was worried that we were going to be almost too much like Jump with Joey. And I thought they were going to call our band Jump with Korey, but like, but yeah, so that was kind of the idea for this record, is just, hey, let's try to make it as authentic as whatever the authenticity is. We're all record collectors and listeners. And so let's do something that isn't even like, you don't have to be like, I love ska, so I love this band. If you love jazz, then you might love this band. If you love Boogaloo, you love this band. If you love soul, you might love this. If you play records, you're probably going to like this record. And if you don't, it's okay. It's like, you don't have to like it, but we like it. That's why we want to do it. So that's my take.
Yeah.
It's so funny because, like I said, you know, like driving a plow down the street, I just love that genre of music. To me, those singers were they were cool. Yeah. And you know, you see Miles Davis and like that. That was the epitome of cool back then. And I noticed that a lot of the kids, when I would go to, you know, some of the shows that he'd play at, I noticed how they would dress and like that. And it just reminded me of the style from back in those days. And so, but I always enjoyed singing and singing to the style of music, like I said, that I grew up on, my father's music. And I would do it with my band. I have my own jazz group, and I would be playing. And it got to where when you go to a place and they'd say, hey, can you do some Luther Vandross? And can you do this, or can you do that? And I love Luther, I love Al Jarreau, I love all those guys, but I also love the originals, the Nat King Coles and like that. So I would do their music, you know. And so it got to where they were making fun of me, you know, different people would come out and they'd say, oh man, you know, he's doing that, you know, Black Sinatra thing and, you know, stuff like that. And
I think a Black Sinatra is dope.
Well, but I mean, but that was it wasn't what the way they were making it come across was as a diss. So
yeah.
Anyway, I always wanted to bring that music into something today. And it's weird. I told my wife this when we got when I got to the studio, and I didn't know what songs he had. He kind of gave me an idea, but I still didn't know what songs he was going to do. And so when I got in the studio and the guys were all there and they started playing all the songs that I grew up on and that Korey grew up on, because he would hear me play them all the time, I was blown away. I didn't know what to say. And so the guys laid it down. Korey had some of the best music. I'm telling you, these guys I call them my boys, you know, because I'm pops of the group, but I really respect each and every one of these musicians. These guys bring it every time they go to the studio or we're doing a show, they bring it. And I was just so amazed at how these young kids, I call them young kids, but these kids
Right.
are playing this style of music the way they do. And like when we went to see the Inspectors and like that, and to see the kid, I didn't realize that the scene was like that. And I was so impressed. The theater was packed, and, you know, these guys were so humble and so kind. And, you know, and I was just telling Korey, I'm like, man, I mean, I just couldn't believe. And then we went to Tijuana, and the kids there ate us up. You know, I told Korey, I just come out of the hospital, and I had to go outside and get some air. And I never made it outside. I mean, every person there came up to me and wanted to talk or wanted my autograph and like that. I'm looking like, we just did, you know, unbelievable. I just love the scene. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you know, for what it's worth, you know, me, I'm 25, you know, so for me, it's like when I hear the album, it's like it's something I would totally put on, like, you know, on, you know, the new 2020 ska playlist, cool. Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't hear the album, I'm like, this is, you know, music from back then. It's like like what you're saying, you know, the scene would eat it up. I think I love it when shows is like, you know, a really hardcore punk band, you know, a ska jazz band after that, you know, a dub reggae band after, you know what I'm saying? Cool. I personally like the variety, and I think a lot of people like that too. But it's going on less nowadays. But there's no reason or nothing saying that it can't happen more often, maybe in the future. You know,
there's something to that too. That, you know, everything that goes along with the music on the record, like for example, calling the record Island Bop, calling like the album artwork. The style of music, of course, but all of that stuff kind of goes with that, where we wanted to do something that wasn't so like typecast as this is obviously a ska band. So we didn't want to do the old English writing and the Fred Perry logo and I love that stuff, man. I grew up with that stuff. That stuff is still very appealing to me, or like the Vespa on the cover, and like, you know, I have a Vespa, I ride Vespas all the time, but it's, you know, I didn't want our record to scream, okay, this is 90s ska next. You know, I wanted it to be like, wait, what is this? And so, and it's like that across the board for us, where we want to be able to jump on a tour with Brian Setzer Orchestra, or jump on a tour with Inspector, or jump on a tour with Social Distortion, and it work on all three, or then play Playboy Jazz Festival and have it work in all those different settings the same way. People that love ska are going to be like, dang, dude, those guys were awesome. Social Distortion, man, I love blues. Like, those guys were great, authentic. You know, any of that kind of stuff is why we've kind of tried to hone in on what you're saying, you know, that it kind of crosses over into, yes, technically it's Jamaican style ska, but you know, we don't want to call it ska, or we don't want to call it ska jazz. We want to call it island bop, you know, because it's bebop from the islands. So there you go. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah. And go for it. Sorry.
I was just saying, I think for me, when we played at the House of Blues, and we opened for the Agrolites and for Hepcat, and we didn't know how we were going to be received. And so, you know, they see us walk out there, and you know, we had the stands and all of that, and the next thing I know, you know, we kicked it off, and you know, at first, you know, you hear a couple, you know, and next thing we know, they were dancing, and so I realized then that, hey, we might have something here, you know, that style.
Was that the 2018 gig in Anaheim? Yeah. I had to do my digging after I was listening to the album on YouTube. Kind of like a point you made a little bit ago, Korey. You said you were kind of like trying to develop this project for a while, along with those Anaheim shows, with those videos. Because I saw the Mr. Low video, and I saw the Abemsha Swing video. And I didn't watch the Grand Central one, but I saw you guys had the Grand Central one up as well.
Yeah.
I saw also there's like. There was because I was just browsing YouTube, and there was like videos from like 4 or 5 years back where it was like Korey Kingston's Shuffle and Bang, and then like maybe videos from like 11 years ago, and it was like Korey Kingston All Stars.
Yeah,
Was this all kind of like the build up to Shuffle and Bang as we know it today?
definitely. So yeah, 11 years ago, man, that was the first time where, you know, this band was almost called Korey Kingston All Stars. And I was like, by the time we did the record, I was like, it can't be called that. It can't be called that. So, but I think that was I think right around the time where I left the Agrolites, and I was like trying to still be, you know, doing stuff in the scene.
Gotcha.
And so I think me and Roger Rivas decided to do a traditional ska thing. And actually some of the songs we do Barbados in this band. It's not on the album, but we have a chart for it that we do live sometimes. Mm-hmm. That was one of the songs that like did Korey Kingston All Stars. Mm-hmm. And I think we just did one or two songs, and then, but that's always been in the back of my mind. Like, I would love to do an album with that band. I would love to switch up some of the musicians and do it a little different, you know, like do it a little bit more jazzy. But it wasn't until in 2018, my company Drum Brigade had an event after NAMM show, which is like a music conference kind of trade show. Well, definitely. And we had an after party, and I needed to perform. And so I was like, I'm not going to put together some like jazz fusion band. That's not my bag, you know? And I'm like, so maybe we just put together, maybe I try to do Korey Kingston All Stars again. And we'll just do it. Maybe we do it a little different. And, you know, here's the idea. And that's really where it started. And I was like, hey, Dad, maybe you want to sing like one of the songs with us. And we only did 5 songs. And so he's like, yeah, of course, let's do it. You know? And so we did Naima. And then we decided to record Naima, and that's on the album now. Yeah. Mm. So.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. Because I was gonna say, one thing that I was noticing, because I also watched the live stream you guys did like probably like a week ago, the CD release. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, like one thing that I really like was the stand-up basis.
Oh yeah,
Omar.
Yeah, because you know, usually, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but usually I see stand-up basses in, you know, jazz bands and like rockabilly type bands, and I haven't seen it in this setting yet.
Yeah. So that's a big that we can't play this band. We can't do a show unless it's with an upright bass. But okay. Omar plays, actually he plays, it's called a baby bass. So it's an electric upright bass. Gotcha. That's what you would typically use in like a salsa band or a lot of like boogaloo, Nuyorican kind of style music, you know, New York, Puerto Rican style stuff or Cuban stuff. And it just makes the sound of this band, man. It's like we've done gigs with a standard upright bass, and that works too. But that's a big, yeah. And then Omar's on the record. He did that gig with us. Omar was my first choice. It has to be this guy.
I remember that.
And Omar actually plays bass for the original Wailers. He plays bass for the B-side Players, and he's played with so many reggae artists. It's like too many to number.
Yeah.
So he's a phenomenal bass player. He's my favorite. He's one of, I have like 3 favorite bass players in San Diego in town that I love playing with. And he is like number 1.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah. I was going to say, if I had to narrow it down to like my favorite song, I'd probably say it's, I can't remember what number track it was, but it was called Insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Joe Cuba song.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If I had to narrow it down to one, but
so that song is that song goes way back. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, go for it. Yeah.
That's a song that I've heard since I was a little kid. On not my dad's side, but my mom's side. My grandpa's from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and whenever we'd go over to family dinner on Sunday, every Sunday we'd have family dinner, and those songs would be playing on his record player as he's cooking. Yeah. And that was one that me and my brother and all my uncles always we love that whole record. But that song, there's another song on there called Speedy Gonzalez, I think it's called, and it's like that was a song we loved when we were kids. And then I'm Insane, I think, would come on after that, and I was like, man, I love this song. And so it was just kind of no brainer that had to go on the album, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, I noticed you guys got the album released on Pirates Press. How did you guys link up with Pirates Press?
Great story.
So that's Pirates Press